The rise of Mexico's drug cartels has been nothing short of astonishing. Over the past few decades, these criminal organizations have built billion-dollar empires that stretch across the globe. Their influence extends far beyond the illegal drug trade, infiltrating legitimate businesses, government institutions, and even entire communities. But how exactly do these cartels generate such staggering wealth? The answer lies in a complex network of drug production, trafficking, and financial manipulation. From the fields of Mexico's rural countryside to the streets of major cities around the world, the cartel's operations are vast and multifaceted. In this video, we will take a closer look at how Mexico's drug cartels make billions and explore the intricate methods they use to build their criminal empires. The origins of Mexico's drug cartels. To understand how Mexico's drug cartels became so powerful, it's important to first look at their origins. The roots of Mexico's cartels date back to the early 20th century, but it wasn't until the 1980s that they began to evolve into the billion-dollar operations they are today. At the time, Mexican cartels were primarily involved in smuggling marijuana and heroin into the United States. However, it was their entry into the cocaine trade that truly transformed their fortunes. When Colombian cartels like the Medellin and Cali cartels began facing increasing pressure from law enforcement, they turned to Mexico as a key transit point for smuggling cocaine into the U.S. The Mexican cartels quickly seized this opportunity, striking lucrative deals to transport the drug across the border. By the 1990s, Mexican cartels had established themselves as dominant players in the global drug trade, and their influence only grew from there. Today, some of the most infamous cartels include the Sinaloa Cartel, the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, JNG, and the Gulf Cartel. Each of these organizations has developed sophisticated methods for making billions of dollars through their criminal enterprises. Drug production and trafficking. At the core of Mexico's drug cartel's wealth is the illegal drug trade. The cartels are responsible for producing and trafficking a wide range of narcotics, including marijuana, heroin, methamphetamine, and, most importantly, cocaine and fentanyl. These drugs are in high demand in the United States, Europe, and increasingly in parts of Asia, allowing the cartels to tap into massive global markets. 1. Cocaine. Cocaine remains one of the most profitable drugs for Mexico's cartels. The drug is primarily produced in South America, in countries like Colombia, Peru, and Bolivia. However, Mexican cartels have established themselves as the key middlemen in transporting cocaine from South America to the US and Europe. They oversee the entire supply chain, from sourcing the cocaine to smuggling it across international borders. Cartels employ a variety of methods to move the drugs, including hiding shipments in commercial trucks, using submarines, and even flying small planes into remote landing strips. So once the drugs reach their destination, they are distributed through vast networks of street-level dealers who sell to consumers. The profits from this trade are astronomical, with cartels making a significant markup on the wholesale price of the drugs they move. 2. Heroin. Heroin production has surged in Mexico over the past 2 decades, especially with the rise of opioid addiction in the United States. Cartels have shifted their focus from traditional poppy cultivation to refining heroin and smuggling it across the U.S. border. The demand for heroin in the U.S. has provided the cartels with a highly profitable business, with Mexican heroin now dominating the American market. 3. Methamphetamine. Methamphetamine, or meth, has become another major source of revenue for the cartels. Mexico is now one of the largest producers of meth in the world, and the drug is trafficked primarily to the U.S. Cartels operate large-scale meth labs, producing the drug in massive quantities. Due to the low production costs and high demand for meth, it has become an incredibly lucrative venture for the cartels. 4. Fentanyl. Perhaps the most dangerous and profitable drug that cartels now traffic is fentanyl, a synthetic opioid that is 50 to 100 times more potent than heroin. Fentanyl production has skyrocketed in recent years, and it has been linked to a sharp increase in overdose deaths in the U.S. Cartels obtain fentanyl precursors from China and then manufacture the drug in Mexico before smuggling it into the U.S. The profits from fentanyl trafficking are enormous, as it is cheap to produce and highly addictive. Diversifying revenue streams. While drug trafficking remains the primary source of income for Mexico's cartels, they have also diversified their revenue streams to include a variety of other illicit activities. This diversification has helped the cartels build robust financial empires and expand their influence beyond just the drug trade. 1. Human trafficking and smuggling. One of the key sources of additional revenue for cartels is human trafficking and smuggling. Cartels have capitalized on the demand for illegal immigration to the U.S. by controlling the routes that migrants take to cross the border. In exchange for safe passage, migrants are often forced to pay the cartels exorbitant fees. In some cases, the cartels exploit vulnerable migrants, subjecting them to forced labor or prostitution. This illegal human trafficking has become a multi-billion-dollar industry in its own right. 2. Kidnapping and extortion. Kidnapping for ransom and extortion are common tactics used by cartels to generate additional income. Cartels often target wealthy individuals or business owners, demanding large sums of money for their release. In some cases, they also extort businesses, threatening violence if they do not pay protection fees. This has created a climate of fear in many parts of Mexico, where businesses are forced to operate under the constant threat of cartel violence. 3. Oil theft. Cartels have also infiltrated Mexico's energy sector, engaging in large-scale oil theft, known as huichicoleo. By tapping into pipelines and stealing fuel, cartels can sell it on the black market at a lower price than legitimate sources. This practice has cost Mexico billions in lost revenue and has become another significant source of income for the cartels. 4. Money laundering. To legitimize their ill-gotten gains, cartels have developed sophisticated money laundering operations. They often use legitimate businesses such as real estate, retail shops, and even construction companies to launder drug money. By investing in these businesses, the cartels can funnel their profits into legitimate sectors of the economy, making it difficult for authorities to trace the origins of their wealth. In many cases, they also use offshore accounts and shell companies to hide their assets from law enforcement. Cartel influence in politics and law enforcement. One of the reasons Mexico's cartels have been able to grow so powerful is their ability to infiltrate and influence political and law enforcement institutions. Bribery and corruption are rampant in many parts of Mexico, allowing cartels to operate with relative impunity. Local police forces, politicians, and even military personnel are often on the payroll of the cartels, turning a blind eye to their activities or actively aiding them. In some cases, entire regions of Mexico have been effectively taken over by the cartels, who act as the de facto government. They provide security, resolve disputes, and even offer social services to the local population. This level of control has allowed the cartels to expand their power and wealth, making it difficult for the Mexican government to combat their influence. Cartels have also been known to assassinate political figures, journalists, and law enforcement officials who oppose them. This culture of violence and intimidation ensures that few are willing to stand up to the cartels, further cementing their grip on power. The impact on Mexico and beyond. The financial success of Mexico's drug cartels has had a devastating impact on the country and its people. Violence has become a daily reality in many parts of Mexico, with cartel-related killings and disappearances occurring at alarming rates. The Mexican government has launched multiple military operations to combat the cartels, but these efforts have often been met with limited success. The cartel's influence extends far beyond Mexico's borders, as their drugs fuel addiction and crime in countries around the world, particularly in the United States. The billions of dollars generated by the cartels have allowed them to establish a global network, with distribution channels reaching as far as Europe, Africa, and Asia. International efforts to combat cartels. While the Mexican government has been fighting the cartels for years, international efforts to combat their influence have also ramped up. The United States, in particular, has been a key player in the fight against the cartels. Through initiatives like the Merida Initiative, the U.S. has provided Mexico with funding, training, and equipment to help dismantle the cartels. However, these efforts have often been hampered by corruption and the sheer scale of the problem. The cartels have proven to be incredibly resilient, adapting to new strategies and finding ways to circumvent law enforcement efforts. As long as there is demand for drugs in the U.S. and other parts of the world, the cartels will continue to find ways to make billions.